Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Daily Dose TV. We are here for the updates, spoilers, and recaps for Days of Our Lives for the week of Monday, August 21st to today, Friday, the 25th. So let's get to it. So Days of Our Lives has finally caught up with real time. And they are now... This whole week is like a tribute to Victor. Every single day, different characters are reminiscing about a lot of bad times and the good times that they had with Victor. So there was a lot of that, you know. So we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Us, the real world, we mourned him 6 months ago when he died. So, to me, it's a little annoying, but it is just their way of, the cast way, I guess, of highlighting what an excellent actor John Aniston actually was. I hated Victor Kiriakis. Never, ever liked him, not even for a second. And, when you dislike a character that much, that's just a tribute to what an excellent job they're doing playing that character. If you're that bent out of shape and, I hate Victor, then he's doing his job, and he did a great job at it. So, rest in peace, John Aniston, and of course, our love, hugs, and best wishes go out to his family, to his daughter, Jennifer. She's our friend. But we do send them all our condolences, even though it is 6 months later. Okay, so let's get to it. So this week, a lot of people are just finding out. I know I had to wear my stupid glasses. That Victor has passed away. So Sean finds out. And he, of course, is blaming himself. And he's going to have to booze it up because that's what he is. I'm so sick of Sean being a booze hound. I'm not big on this Sean anyway, but we'll let him go off, get drunk. He just doesn't seem like Bo and Hope's son to me. So anyway, it's common that people run into problems with alcohol and drugs. Yes, it does happen, actually Sean has every right to feel guilty. Anyone would. He jumped the gun. He's going to have to get some counseling. And jumped the gun, shot his dad. And just terror of events have happened since then. His dad's still in a coma, He ruined a lot of lives by just jumping the gun, man. Instead of just waiting a second. But he thought his dad was going to kill his mom. What would you do? Okay, so he tells Belle, I got to get out of here. And she's like, well, where are you going? He said, just leave me alone, Belle. So he goes off to get his drunk on. And if you're like me, you're sick of seeing him get his drunk on. And anyway, we've got another guy, what's his name, Gaston something, playing the part of Eric. And I want to tell you, he's easy on the eyes, and I think I like him better than the other Eric. I've always found the other Eric just to be bleh. But this Eric, I like him a lot better. But he's only temporary, apparently, so that sucks. But we get him for a little while. Anyway, he is in the restaurant or wherever it is that Sean D. Is his name Sean D? I don't think so. Sean Douglas. Yeah, probably is. He's in the restaurant getting his drunk on. And Eric comes in the restaurant and sees him getting his drunk on. So he goes over and talks to him, and he's really realizes that he's got his drunk on. So he's trying to, comfort him a little bit, tell him you can't blame yourself for all this. And Sean D, since he's getting his drunk on, he's just an obnoxious drunk. He's obnoxious, period. So, he sits there. He wants to take him home. He's like, does Belle know? And Sean's like, well, why don't you go ask Belle, And Sean's a nasty drunk. You can handle it a little bit better when they're nice drugs. But when they're nasty, yeah, nobody wants nothing to do with you. So, he ends up calling Belle, and of course she does scurry over to save her man, because Belle is a loyal wife, and she loves Sean, and she's going to stick this out with him. And that's what people that love you do. They stick it out. So, she happens to be outside the pub right now, Belle. She's leaving the pub, and she runs into Chloe, who lets Belle know that thinks she's going to accept Xander's proposal. And Belle has tried to talk her out of it before, and tried to talk her out of it now. And while she's telling her that, Brady walks up, and Chloe's like, how long have you been standing there? And he's trying to convince her too. And she's like, I'm going to stop you right here. This is none of your business. And, he's just telling her, he just went to apologize to Xander for kissing her. And Chloe's like, he didn't know about that. Yeah, well, Brady found that out because he punched him. And he told Chloe that. And they had a few words, but I think Brady understands, that, I'm sorry, Brady, I can do without him altogether. I used to really love his character, and they've just wrote him into some shit stuff now, He's going to be this obnoxious, obsessive person. I got to have control of my daughter. I got to have control of Chloe. It's just, send him to some counseling, man. You got Dr. Marlena Evans there, and if I've heard it once this week, I've heard it a million times. She's the best there is. So, get your ass some help, man. I'm just sick of him. I'm sick of him. So, I'm sick of a lot of them, after you watch them for a while. But their characters go up and down. They have different lines, different storylines, and some of them I like, some of them I don't, So, this is not... I don't like him being all obsessive and crazed. And I think he should get back with Kristen now, because she's such a good mother, if nothing else, And he isn't never going to do that probably, but I bet he will. Why? Because he's about a loon anymore. So, speaking of loons. Okay, let me see here. Oh. So Xander goes over to console Maggie and to talk with her. And she's lying down, but he walks in the living room, or the room with the fireplace, whatever they call that over there. It's a stage. But he walks in and he sees Sarah. He sees the back of her. It's her, because no other girl on there's got her hair all chopped off like that. Not that I can think of. And she looks really cute with it. I'm not a fan of the girls with the boy haircuts like that. I just think I feel like hair is something, I don't know. I would never do it. I'm not going to go boy haircut. I don't like short hair on myself. So, I'm not doing it. But, she looks really cute with it. Most women don't look so cute with it. I'm just being honest. Take it or leave it. So, she turns around and he's like, oh my God, he's like, why didn't you tell me about this? And she's like, why would I tell you? And he's like, well, it looks like you would let someone know that they were carrying your baby, an email, a letter, a phone call. And she's like, it's none of your business. It's not your baby. And he's like, really? Because you look pretty far along. And he said, you look like you definitely got knocked up before you left Salem. And she said, yeah, I was with Rex one time here before I left Salem. So he said, well, I didn't know that. So he really doesn't believe her story of her saying that it's not his baby. And, it's annoying. She's annoying. I wish they hadn't brought her back, because I think this little stupid game she's playing with Xander is just that, a little stupid game. Who's writing for days anymore? Is what's his name still over there? I mean, they got some crap going on, man. Of course, this was this was written, 6 months ago? Anyway, I don't like the fact she's keeping the baby from Xander. I don't approve of that at all. I realize that she thinks he's not good enough to be a father and all this. But anybody with a brain knows that when your kids grow up, they're going to make up their own minds. So just trust your kids to have a brain of their own. It actually does work out better that way. So she's going to continue this little game. And she's talking to him, and he's like, oh, okay. How are you so sure? And she said, because of the time and how far along I am. That's how I'm sure. And he's like, well, let me know if it comes out with a Scottish accent. And she's like, yeah. So she's like, so you and Chloe are seeing each other? And he said, yes. As a matter of fact, we're going to get married. And she's like, really? And he said, well, I proposed to her. I'm waiting for her to say yes. And I'm hoping that she does. And we're going to get married. And her eyes is all watering up and stuff. And so he ends up leaving. And as soon as he leaves, she calls up, what's his name, Rex, and says she's thought about his proposal because he did offer to marry her. He's always loved her, even though he cheated on her and all that before. And she told him, yeah, she wants to marry him. So she wants to marry Rex, and they're going to raise the baby and pretend it's his. That's her plan. So she just acted on a rebound thing there, calling him, telling him she wants to get married to him. You know, she's a doctor, and all these bad decisions she's making just makes me question her education. Not that doctors can't get depressed, and absolutely they can and do, but she just seems like she's just being so ignorant about all this, playing this little game that she's actually been through before and had devastating outcomes to it. And hurt people before, but she don't care. Xander's awful. He doesn't deserve to see a baby or have a baby. It's not your call, sister. No, it's not. I mean, it may be for a moment while that baby's in your belly, but you better get ready to wake up, girlfriend. So that's what's going on with all that. Meanwhile, back at the Demare mansion, Nicole and EJ have decided to elope. They want to go to Italy and elope. Well, there's a couple of problems. Dimitri took the Demare jet to Iceland for his honeymoon. And they don't want to fly commercial because they're spoiled. Rich people. And, you know, kind of, I'm going to say it. Anyway, EJ goes to try to get the papers for them to get married. Anyway, they're going to go somewhere and get married. They decide they might just have to get married there in Salem somewhere. So, and he runs into Trask. Literally, they bump into. And he tells her, you know, he's off to get papers for him and Nicole to get married. He's off to the courthouse. And she tells him, you might want to rethink marrying her. Now, she never told him why, but we know why, and that's because she knows, because Sloan and Trask are friends, that that's not his baby. And she's threatened Sloan to tell him if Sloan don't do something for her. By the end of the week, she has changed her mind about that. So, anyway, they talk for a few minutes, and by the time EJ gets to the courthouse, it's closed. So he comes back and tells Nicole, we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow for this. Then we move on to Tuesday. Tuesday is when Melinda goes over to Sloan's apartment and tells her, you remember for keeping your secret about Eric and Nicole's baby, I told you I might need you to do me a favor. And she's like, yeah. So she wants to prosecute Lee Chin bad, but it's a little hard since she's sleeping with him, going downtown. And she's trying to trick him so bad. Anyway, she wants Melinda. she wants to file some kind of charges against him. Wants Sloan to be his lawyer, and then Sloan to feed her information so she can get him. And Sloan said absolutely not. She could lose her license for that, and why would she do that to her own clients? She just don't do that. She said no. She said, you can tell Eric. I'm just going to go on and tell him myself. And she's telling her, don't do that. You will lose him. And she's like, well, I'm going to tell him as soon as he gets back, and then this little hold you have over me is gone. And I like the way Sloan thinks. I like Sloan in general. I kind of like Trask, too, now that we see the human side. She's getting friends and going out on dates. We've never seen that kind of crap from her before. Okay, so she leaves, and Eric comes back, and he's bitching about, after watching Sean get drunk for however long, couple hours, hour, whatever it was. Now I'm really craving a drink myself. And he goes over to fix him a drink, and Sloan's just looking at him. She's like, I've got something I'm going to have to tell you, and I hope you won't be mad. And then she started doubling over with real bad stomach pains, in which case he took her to the hospital, right away. Talia is leaving Dr. Evans' office. She's in ordered counseling there, and she runs into Kayla, who asked her how she's doing, and she said, well, I'm doing great. Even though I'm court ordered to these sessions with Dr. Evans, it's just taught me so much. And then between that and my community service, just none of these things, I'm busy, but none of these things have any financial reward. And she said, it's just hard for me to find something, but I've got to find something. And Kayla said, well, maybe I can help with that. Maybe you could work here. And she said, really? At the hospital? And she said, yeah. And she said, well, what positions do you have open? And Kayla said, well, you have a medical degree. I was thinking doctor. And she got so excited, and I thought that was just such great news for her. And she said, I'm not saying that your criminal record won't be a problem, but I will definitely go to bat for you because I'm a believer in second chances. So she's all excited, and Kayla goes off to take care of her patients, and little Talia's just dancing, boogieing down. Yes, because she's happy as she can be. She got a big break, but she was being manipulated and abused by Colin. So while she's dancing around, Eric comes off the elevator with Sloan, and Talia turns around and sees her. He's holding her up, and he's like, Eric, what's wrong with Sloan? And he's trying to talk to Sloan, and then she just passes out. And Talia goes over there, and Sloan is not breathing. And so she revives her, and Kayla comes over and takes over. And, of course, Eric thanks her, and Kayla says, you saved her life. And they get her into a room and everything. So Trask and Lee, Melinda and Lee Chin both have ulterior motives in dating one another. Lee is hoping that she falls in love with him and stuff, and no matter what happens in the future, she just won't have the heart to prosecute him. And she's hoping she can get enough for a conviction because, well, something she told Sloan on her little visit that I forgot to mention is that Abe has taken back over the mayor's position, but only long enough to appoint Paulina the mayor. So Trask thinks that Paulina's going to fire her right off the bat for the way she came after Paulina and Chanel. But she says that if she can get a high-profile case, like with Lee Shin, and convict him, that Paulina won't be able to touch her. There would be too much backlash. She would be considered a hero and stuff. So that's all that crap. So Sloan does lose the baby. This is just so darn sad. I mean, not just because she lost the baby, but because of Sloan and Eric. And I really wanted her to have a baby with Eric, but the writers seem determined, I guess, to throw Eric and Nicole together. Let's face it, Nicole's run out of men she can be with. She's already done seconds on just about everybody there. And when they were showing some of the flashbacks of Nicole and Victor, like the one when he pushed her out the window, she used to be married to him or his mistress or something. She would do anything for money back in the day. And she did. She was a skank. And she has grown into a better person for the most part. Okay. Then we move on to Wednesday. Ava and Harris are buddied up there in Bellevue. And I wrote some notes about them. Okay, yeah, they continue to support each other. And yeah, they're supporting each other. That's all I have to say about them at the moment. Back at the DeMera mansion, I guess he's an attorney. I don't know if he's an estate planner. I don't know who he is, but he shows up at the mansion looking for Dimitri. And Kristen happens to answer the door. And she's like, this is his home. She invites him in. She said, but he's not here. He's on his honeymoon in Iceland. So, he introduces himself and he said, oh, I wish I would have known that before I flew all the way from Romania or wherever the Alamains are from. And she said, oh, Romania? I don't know. I can't remember. And she said, would this be possibly about the codicil? And he said, you know about it. And she said, oh, me and my nephew are very close. She tries to talk him into... He came to give him his first installment of his inheritance. I checked with so many extra numbers on it, I couldn't tell you what that amount was. But he's supposed to get installments. And Kristen said, well, I would be happy to take it for him. And he said, not so fast, Miss DeMera. She said, many people would do anything to get their hands on just a fraction of this money. She said, well, I understand that. So he said, unfortunately, he has to talk to Dimitri himself, and he has to make sure that his marriage isn't a scam, and see that he's married and stuff himself, to continue. So she goes and calls Dimitri and tells him to tail his butt back to Salem, which he does. Of course, he lies to Gwenn about it, but he also lies to his lover, Leo. That struck me as odd. Unless he's just playing both of them. Gabby and Stefan know that Kristen is up to something because Gabby knows that Rachel is holding a secret for Kristen, and she tried to get that out of her the other day, last week, with no avail. So Gabby and Stefan, who are still honeymooning there in the DeMera house, they went downstairs and they seen the man, Edward, I think was his first name, I don't remember. And Gabby tried to introduce herself to him, and she introduced him and said that he was about, not the principal, the headmaster or somebody at some kind of private school she wanted to send Rachel to. And he kept trying to speak and say what he was there for. And she said, I will just walk you out. So she walked him out and explained to him that her sister-in-law there was just basically a money-grubbing little wretch. And she didn't need to know about the inheritance and stuff. And he's like, oh, that makes sense. But Gabby is listening at the door, and she hears that he is staying at the Salem Hotel. And she told him that, not Gabby, but Kristen told him, Edward, I'm going to call him, that they were already getting the jet ready to head back home. And as soon as Dimitri got home, she would send him directly to the Salem Inn, or, yeah, I think that's where he said he was staying. And he leaves. So Gabby takes off after him and goes to the hotel. And that's the way I think that episode ended that day. Not quite. Oh crap! What was I saying? Yeah. So she went and you see her outside the door. So she's gonna knock on the door and just find out what the hell's happened. So meanwhile, back at the nut house, Ava is telling Harris how much better she feels since he talked her into seeing Trip, and she did. And she's like, I'm not seeing dead people anymore, blah, blah, blah. She's talking to him, and then she looks up, and you see someone standing behind Harris in like a house coat or a nightgown or something. And the camera's slowly going up, and you're thinking, I already knew who I thought she was going to see. And who did she see? Our dead girl, Susan Banks. Mr. Clown, is this your clown car? Do you drive your clown friends around it? I love Susan Banks. She is my very favorite character. Out of all of them that has ever been, that character is my absolute favorite. And the other character she does on Thomas, that little worm, she does a good character with him. Out of the three, Kristen is the one I don't like. So, crazy. Okay. So she looks up and she sees Susan standing there, and she starts screaming and carrying on. Oh, leave me alone. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to kill you. I'm so sorry. You know, and Susan's just looking at her and didn't say a thing to her yet. Okay, so then we flip over to Thursday. Excuse me. Also on Wednesday, Leo acted like he was all brokenhearted because Victor had died. He got news of that. So he was playing that up in Iceland on his best friend's honeymoon. Okay, so then we move on to Thursday. Thursday, Sloan wakes up, finds out she lost the baby. She decides that she's going to tell Eric the truth again. And Melinda Trask visits her, and she pretty much talks her out of it. Because she tells her, you said that what you had going up against Nicole was she had his baby, but you had his baby too. Now that's no longer true. She was pretty angry with Melinda because, Melinda had threatened her if she didn't do what she wanted with Lee. She was going to tell Eric about Nicole's baby. So she was a little bit hostile with Melinda, but she did start to listen. Meanwhile, EJ is asleep in the bed, and he starts having nightmares. And it's a nightmare of the night his mother died. And we see the scene again, and I just remember just what awesome acting went on during that whole thing of EJ. He did such a great job. Chasing the car, and the car run off. And him running down there. Oh, man. So he was dreaming of that, and he woke up screaming. Now, I seen roll through my YouTube where someone was talking about Susan's going to return from the dead. So it seems like they are building up to that, and I'm going to be so happy. Because, oh my God, she's just the funniest thing that ever hit Salem. And you can't help but to love her. It's her oddness that is so appealing. Anyway, Ava is, screaming about Susan, and Harris confronts her and gets her to calm down, and he said, just look up and you'll see that this lady is not Susan. And there was a lady over there, the one that she thought was Susan, and she was just looking at her scared to death. Okay, so then we move on. Marlena and Roman are talking at the pub. They're talking about Eric and Sloan, and he's like, I don't like her. She insulted my, what was it? Oh, chowder, and blah, blah, blah. And Marlena said, it's not about if you like her or whatever. So Marlena says, I think we should let them know we're supporting them, and let's give them a baby shower. And Roman's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then she talked him into it. He's going to do it. And she said she'd talk to Kate about it. So Marlena and Roman are reminiscing a little bit about Victor as well, with some scenes back through Victor through the years. And of course, I've watched the show since I was 6 years old, since it came on. And I've done seen all this stuff with Victor, so it was just kind of a little boring time for me when they showed all them scenes with Victor. But it's nice that they did offer such a nice tribute to him. Nicole goes to the hospital to pick up a prescription while EJ is still running around trying to... Oh, this is a different day. He's got to go get the court papers. So she gets off the elevator and she overhears Eric on the phone talking to Roman because Roman was calling him about the baby shower. And he's going on about the baby shower. And Eric said, Dad, there is no baby. Sloan lost the baby. You know, and Nicole literally is crying herself. She's got tears in her eyes. And not just because of a baby's life was lost. It's because she knows how much Eric has always wanted to be a father. So she walked up to him and told him she couldn't help overhearing, and she was very supportive to him. And it was kind of a sad moment. But he noticed that she had a big engagement ring on her finger, and she's like, yeah, we're getting ready to go, and as soon as we can get the court papers and this, and he's like, you're going to marry him and all this, and she's like, well, yeah, you know, we're having a baby, we love each other, you know, we're going to get married. So, you know, and then they're just staring at each other for a while. Give me a break. Okay, so then we move on to Friday today. And of course, Maggie is up finally. She's been in the bed for a while. And Sarah continue with some Victor memories. And Maggie is still talking to Sarah about the baby and all this. And she's like, well, you better, you know, you're going to run into Xander here. And she said, I already did. And she said, really? And she said, yeah. And she said, and I told him it wasn't his baby, it was Rex's. And she doesn't approve of this. She thinks Xander's a changed man. And, you know, Sarah's just so on her high horse. I'm hoping if Susan comes back, it will make things easier for everyone. One person it will make things extremely easier for is Ava. Susan coming back to life is going to free Ava from that murder charge, but she'll still have a lot of other charges. She needs to do some jail time. She does. I don't care how sorry she is or how sick she was. She, you know, yeah. So, they fight a little bit, Maggie and Sarah, and Sarah's like, she told her that Rex proposed to her, and she called him and told him she's going to marry him, and she's like, oh, I can tell Mom you're not going to approve. And she said, he cheated on you in the past, and he did this, and he did that. And she's like, that's all over, Mom. He'll be good to me, and he'll be good to the baby. And, you know, I guess Maggie's going to try to help her keep a secret, but she does not approve of it. So she gets a text, and she tells Sarah, well, you better make yourself scarce, because Xander's on his way over. So I guess she goes up. You know, Maggie's busy defending Xander all the way. And Trask is still talking to Sloan, telling her, you're going to flat out lose Eric if you tell him the truth. Okay, so Roman comes back. He was running off to do some errands, and he comes back, and Kate's like, "Well, that was quick. How'd you get over? I thought you were going somewhere else. Where was I going?" And she said, "Well, I ran into your son outside." And she said, "Phillip?" And then Rex walked in. It was Rex she ran into outside. But don't worry. So, she was happy to see Rex, of course, but you could tell she wanted to see Phillip. So, a lot of memories again of Victor with different people. Chloe, Xander, everybody had their memories of Victor. So, Chloe and Xander have some words because she goes and tells Xander, "We've got a problem. Sarah's back and she's pregnant." And he tells her he knew that yesterday, and they have a few words over that. And she had accepted Xander's proposal that same day that he found that out. So he left to go see Maggie again. And somebody's knocking on the door, and Chloe opens the door. And I already know who this is going to be before she opens it. You know who it is? Yes, indeed it is. She opens the door. Oh my God. Phillip. So we don't see Phillip, but he's standing at the door. So I guess he went to see Chloe first thing. Before he went to visit his mama. Well, he's got to keep the low down, but I don't know that he will. Or the down low, or he's going to go to jail. So we see that at the end of the show, and then the next thing we see is Sarah walks in the room when Xander and Maggie are hugging each other and consoling each other. And she asks Maggie, she said, "Mom, can I have a minute alone with Xander?" And Maggie said, "Sure," and she left, and the show went off. So we are assuming that she's going to tell Xander the truth. Because, Maggie was telling her she hated to see Sarah wasting time if she knew in her heart who her true love was and she chose not to be with him. She said she wasted time with Victor and she didn't want her, Sarah to do the same thing. So it's good advice. It was a very good week. We have a lot of returns. We've got Ava back. We've got Phillip back. I'm hoping that we have Susan back soon. When she saw Susan in Bellevue, for a minute I thought, well, that would be a clever way to bring her back. She could have been so messed up from the car wreck or so burned or whatever that she was in some sort of hospital or someone found her. I don't know. And then she had to be put in Bellevue for some mental scarring from it. I thought that would be almost believable. I feel like they are going to say she's been somewhere in a treatment center because of severe, burns or whatever. Now, we did see, and I think it was Friday, because maybe it was Thursday, Harris was talking to Ava, and he suggested she see Marlena. And Ava said, "Marlena's not going to want to see me. You don't understand. I did all these things to her and her family. I even blew up a church with her family and her in it. Excuse me, I don't see that she's going to want to see me." But Marlena comes to see Harris, and he wants to go talk to her in private about Ava. And he walks away, and Susan walks up behind Ava and says something to her, like it was just a noise or something. She might have said something to her. It was something very brief, if at all. And anyway, that's a wrap for this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, subscribe and like the video. Right. I will see you people in Salem.